I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Coralville City Council to order, November 13th, 2018. Roll call.
Councilmember Foster.
Present.
Gross.
Here.
Gill.
Present.
Dodds.
Present.
Goodrich.
Okay, all council members except for Lori Goodrich are present, as is the mayor, city clerk, city administrator, city attorney, and several staff in the audience. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Gill, seconded by Gross. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is approved, which is a good thing because we have a very special presentation coming up next. This is the first ever, but first won't be the last, but it is the first gold medal service award that's being given out to individuals that have been instrumental in promoting and the success of the Brown Deer Golf Club and course that we have here in Coralville. And we have an outstanding honoree tonight in Les Cullers. That's the first recipient of this. And what we're going to do is I'm going to read the proclamation, and then I think that Sherry and Brian may want to say a few words. And then Les gets the last word in. And we'll present the awards at the end. So there's some hardware up here to be given away too. But let me start by reading the proclamation. Whereas Brown Deer Golf Club is fortunate to work with many amazing volunteers who help with programs and services at the golf course. And whereas the City of Coralville seeks to establish a service award to honor volunteers and other outstanding community members who further the mission of providing a high-quality golf experience at Brown Deer Golf Club. And whereas we have named this award the Brown Deer Golf Club Gold Medal Service Award, and whereas we recognize the first individual to receive this award as Les Cullers, golfer and volunteer at Brown Deer Golf Club and resident of Coralville for 58 years. And whereas Les has been an important part of the success of the Brown Deer Senior League, coordinating, creating golf foursome pairings every Monday and Thursday through the past 13 golf seasons. And whereas Les has helped to grow the league to over 60 golfers per day, equaling over 3,000 rounds of play in 2018 at Brown Deer. And furthermore, through Les's involvement, it is estimated that over 24,000 rounds of golf have been played at Brown Deer as part of the Senior League since its starting in 2005. And now, therefore, I, John A. Lundell, Mayor of the City of Coralville, do hereby present the first ever Brown Deer Golf Club Medal Service Award to Les Cullers and extends a heartfelt thanks for his volunteer efforts at Brown Deer Golf Club. Signed this 13th day of November, John A. Lundell. So it's with great pleasure I sign this proclamation. And Les, before we make you come up, I would invite either Sherry Proud, our Parks and Rec Director, or Brian Wernamont, the golf pro at Brown Deer, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Lundell. As you could hear with those numbers, it's pretty staggering what Les has been able to build this league up to. I've seen it go from about 20 players to where it sits now at about 60 players per round in the 8 years that I've been there. So obviously this man right here is a big friend of Brown Deer. I'm happy to say he's also a friend of mine now that I've gained over these years. So Les, appreciate everything you do for us, and happy to be able to pat you on the back for it. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Sherry.
I would just echo the same thanks that Brian has given. It's great to be able to honor our volunteers, and we couldn't do what we do in any of our programming without volunteers like Les, so we're very happy and fortunate that he's been a part of Brown Deer Golf Club. And I also like to thank everyone who's come out to celebrate with him this evening. His wife Nancy is here, Cheryl and Pam are his daughters, and I forgot to ask which if everybody got here. Oh, they both got here, thank you. And I was trying to figure that out as they came in. And all of the people who've been involved at Brown Deer League, we appreciate your business, and we appreciate you coming to celebrate Les.
Great. Any council comments before we call Les up here?
Well, just Les, thanks for everything that you've done for our community over the years. You're a true treasure, and we're really, really proud to be honoring you tonight.
Come on up, buddy. No, you go in the middle there. Probably somebody wants to take your picture.
Yeah, I'm going to take your picture, at least me. Probably several.
Quick show of hands. How many people in this room are guys that play in the league right now? Yeah. These are all the guys that showed up.
Oh, that's great.
I played 2 weeks ago.
We'll take one here, then we'll get Ryan in.
Okay, all right.
Obviously.
Ready? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, everybody get her thing in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Gotcha.
You need your insurance?
Oh, no, that's okay. I'm
Okay.
the photographer.
Well, first of all, this, I'll just hold this for a minute. This is the plaque that will be hanging on the wall at Brown Deer, the Gold Medal Service Award. Obviously, as Les's name is the first recipient of this award, so this will be prominently displayed at the clubhouse. But what I think is beautiful, Les, is what you get to take home. Brown Deer Golf Club Gold Medal Service Award 2018, Les Cullers. That's great. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah. So now you get the chance to go to the microphone and say something back at us. Yep.
I thank you, one and all. Like I said, I've been a citizen for here for a few years, but I did not expect this. This is quite surprising. And I know the guy that instigated it all, too. He says he's a friend of mine, but I begin to wonder sometimes. Well, as you can see, we've had a pretty good contention of the people that made this possible. I'm just kind of part of the clog, and one person I want to individually mention is standing over here. He doesn't like to come up front anyway. But Fred Waterman has helped increase this considerably by some things that he's done, getting the word out with some business cards and things like that. So he's been very helpful, and he's also computerized this so that it makes it a little bit easier for me to do it. But anyway, I know he wants to stay in the background, but I want to thank him personally for the things that he's done over the years. But other than that, I appreciate all the people coming out to support for this, and if you want to see it, you'll have to come by my house.
You have some golf balls to sell them too, don't you?
Yes, I will. Yes. All right. Thank you very much. And Brian, thank you too.
Thank you. As I tell folks, you're welcome to stay, but we're not offended if you choose to walk out. So.
I can take a hint.
No. You know, it keeps us warm with all these people in here. So.
Sure like that if you keep her here. All right, see you in the morning. All right. You gonna drive down yourself?
Yeah, I got company in the house, and I don't really know if I'm
Okay.
It's kind of like the way when I come to a party.
Yeah.
They all leave.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, deals here.
Okay, I think we'll move on now. We also have one other proclamation I'd like to make this evening. Let me read it here, and then we have a gentleman here to receive it. Whereas hunger and homelessness remains one of our nation's most pressing domestic issues. And whereas this proclamation is an endeavor to educate and promote awareness about issues surrounding homelessness and to inspire action and advocacy on behalf of people with food insecurities and who lack a permanent home. And whereas hunger and homelessness is an issue faced daily by hundreds of men, women, and children throughout our own community. And whereas food insecurity and hunger stem from poverty and a lack of reliable income sources. And whereas homelessness is the result of a complex set of circumstances that push people into poverty and force impossible choices between food, shelter, and other basic needs. And whereas there are many organizations committed to sheltering and providing supportive services, as well as meals and food supplies to people in need, such as membership of the local Homeless Coordinating Board. And whereas there have been steady progress to end hunger and homelessness through the collaborative efforts of our community, and we continue to work towards developing resources and capacity to meet the needs of men, women, and children, offering them hope, opportunity, and dignity. Now therefore I, John A. Lundell, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of Coralville, do hereby proclaim November 10th through the 18th to be Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week in Coralville, and urge all citizens to join in recognizing the important roles we each can and do play in making a difference in the lives of men, women, and children who experience hunger and homelessness in our community. Signed this 13th day of November, John A. Lundell. I believe we have Sam Conaway here, and Sam is with the Johnson County Local Homeless Coordinating Board.
Hello,
Sam,
everyone.
if you'd like to come up and receive this, we're glad to give it to you.
That would be fantastic.
And,
Do you want me to say anything, or?
Yes, here, come and receive it first, and then we'll please do say a few words.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming out tonight.
So I'm kind of glad everybody left. It makes it a lot less nerve-wracking. I do want to ask for my money back from the speech class that I had to take. So my name is Sam Conaway. I'm the Projects for Assistance in Transition from Homelessness provider for the Johnson County area. I work out of the Abbey Center for Community Mental Health. So I work with people at various different levels here in the community in the Johnson County area, whether they're literally homeless, at imminent risk of experiencing homelessness, so they would be discharging from an institution, or somebody who's at risk. That would be somebody who's living with a family member, or they may be facing an eviction. And so I also work with people that have serious mental illness, as well as a serious mental illness and a co-occurring substance abuse disorder. Ideally, I try to get them housed, as well as connected with mental health treatment and substance abuse services. So as a member of the local homeless coordinating board, it's been established for a little over 25 years now. In order to fill federal funding and planning requirements mandated by the McKinney-Vento Act, which is where my federal grant program comes in as well. So it is a coalition comprised of over 20 partner organizations here in the Johnson County area, as well as Washington County, dedicated to preventing homelessness and improving the lives of people through education, advocacy, and strategic use of resources. Some of our recent examples are the low barrier winter shelter that we have starting here in December, as well as the Housing First Permanent Supportive Housing Project, also known as the Cross Park Place, which should be opening up sometime next year. We also have some current initiatives focused on reducing the barriers to housing. One of them is a RentWise program that will ideally be put into play in, I want to say, around July of next year, as well as establishing a coordinated entry system for people who are literally homeless to get them into rapid rehousing programs here in the Johnson and Washington area, or Washington County area.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you so much for this.
Yes, thank you, Sam, for your good work. Okay, next item is item 6, citizen comments. This is, of course, the time for anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to us about an item that's not already on the agenda, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Howard Horan, and I'm with the Coralville Food Pantry. Just to give you a very quick report, in October, we saw 823 families, 823 family visits, 389 total families, Total individuals, 1,354, and we distributed 22,156 pounds of food. I will be looking for new opportunities to help in Coralville. I'm rotating off the board in a normal course of things at the end of the year, and I want to say how much I've enjoyed being part of Coralville. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Appreciate the updates. Anyone else would like to speak to us tonight? Yes.
My name is Bob Geyer, and I'd like to let you know that your emails still are not functioning.
Okay, well, you need to re-enter it just the correct way, so, yeah.
Okay, well, I believe I have, but
Okay, I think, anyway, we'll,
I attempted to send you information, and since I was unable to, I called, which is what they said. I did get a call back. I'd like to give each of you a little packet I've put together.
okay.
Todd's down there.
Thank you.
Austin,
Right here.
so I do not know if you all.
That's okay.
On a good day, I am.
Back and forth.
Right, you can give it to the clerk and Thor will give it to her. Yep. Yep.
What those packets are all about, Coralville likes their federal grants and their state grants for doing business. And if you read through those packets, I believe you'll see that you're risking present grants and future ones by the way you're doing business. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. And Bob, if you continue to have problems with the email, just send it to the city clerk and Thor will forward it to me, so that's no problem.
That should do it.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Anybody else in the audience would like to speak to us this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7, which is the golf cart lease agreement. As Thor mentioned to me as they were leaving, he's surprised the crowd didn't stick around to make sure we passed this one. So, item A is a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a lease agreement with Yamaha Motor Corporation at Brown Deer Golf Course for the lease of 60 golf carts and 2 beverage carts. I'll open the public hearing. Are there any comments? Any written?
No written.
Okay, I will close the public hearing and consider the resolution. Don?
Resolution approving a lease agreement with Yamaha Motor Corporation for the Brown Deer Golf Course, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Seconded by Dodds. Any discussion? Roll call. Or did you want to say anything, Sherry?
If the memo was clear, I don't have to.
Okay. Any questions for Sherry? Okay.
Gas or electric? Gas.
They
or-
are electric, and we're changing from DC electric to AC electric, which has a longer battery life. And let me look at my notes. Longer battery life, and they also have more power. So the carts really were very, very slow. The DC kind going uphill, and these are supposed to keep up much better, and hopefully will increase pace of play.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes with Goodrich absent. Item 8 is Quarry Road Townhomes. Also a public hearing on a proposal to dispose of Lot 1, Quarry Road, in the Iowa River Landing, and to be developed as townhomes. Open the public hearing. Are there any comments? Any written?
No written.
Okay, I will close the public hearing, and that's all the action tonight on.
The development agreement will come back to a later meeting for
Okay.
this problem.
Come back to us within.
Yep.
Item 9 is High Country Road patching. I would entertain a motion to approve the pay estimate number 1, the final, to All American Concrete for this work.
So moved.
Moved by Gill,
Second.
seconded by Foster. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved with Goodrich absent. All ayes. Resolution. Don.
Resolution accepting the High Country Road patching as completed, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds. Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes with Goodrich absent. Item 10 is the Mall and Highway 6 Urban Renewal Area. This is a resolution setting the date for consultation and a date for public hearing on the proposed amendment to the amended and restated urban renewal plan for the Mall and Highway 6 Urban Renewal Area. This consultation will occur with the county on November 29th, and the public hearing will be on December 11th.
Resolution setting a date for consultation and a date for a public hearing on the proposed amendment to the amended and restated urban renewal plan for the Mall and Highway 6 Urban Renewal Area, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion. Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Passes all ayes with Goodrich absent. Next is an ordinance related to the same process. This ordinance sets the base value for lots 1, 2, and 3 in the industrial park, number 2, 6th edition. And it goes into much detail with parcel numbers, which I will not read. And I'll just let Don read the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 2018-1020, an ordinance amending ordinances number 650, 679, 97-786, 2001-941, 2002-95, 2005-1014, 213-1007, 215-1018, 216-1020, and 2017-1016, providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the Mall Highway 6 Urban Renewal Project area in the city of Coralville, Johnson County of Johnson, state of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the state of Iowa, city of Coralville, county of Johnson, and Iowa City Community School District and other taxing districts be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to, and indebtedness, including bond issued or to be issued, incurred by said city in connection with said urban renewal redevelopment project. Ordinance is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion?
Yeah, this is our annual ordinance, and I only made him do one this year instead of all three. This just sets the base values on the warehouse projects that are on the end of James Street that are in process or being constructed now, or the first one looks like it's pretty much done, but all the way on the east side of James Street where it ends there on the south side of Highway 6.
This is first reading.
Correct. You have to read it 2 more times, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Who seconded?
Ordinance passes its first reading, all ayes with Goodrich absent. Item 11 is a financing issue. This is a resolution appropriating payment of certain funds and directing the financial officer to certify tax increment financing debt to the Johnson County Auditor.
Resolution appropriating payment of certain annual appropriation debt services instruments and directing the finance officer to certify tax increment financing debt to the Johnson County Auditor. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Same
This
answer?
is the annual one that we will have the urban renewal report probably at the next meeting, so that will be the last of the annual items we do for urban renewal.
Okay. Any other? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes with Goodrich absent. Item 12 is Interfund TIF loans. Item A of this is a resolution for authorizing internal advance payable from TIF for amount of $75,000 advance for financing projects from the Oakdale Urban Renewal TIF area.
Resolution authorizing internal advance payable from tax increment revenue fund for urban renewal project costs, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes with Goodrich absent. Item B is the same type of thing, except it's the 12th Avenue Urban Renewal Area, and it's in the amount of $150,000.
Resolution authorizing internal advance payable from tax increment revenue fund for urban renewal project costs, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion. Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Goodrich absent. Item 13, we're going to table, no. Item 13 is city administrator compensation package. This increases the city administrator compensation by 2.5% starting July 1st of 2018, and is the equivalent to the increases previously approved for the union and non-union employees.
Resolution approving the compensation package for the city administrator, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Discussion? Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Resolution approved all ayes, and I'm sure Lori would have approved it if she had been there. Item 14 is Biosolids agreement. This is a 5-year agreement compensating the contractor for the land application of biosolids from the wastewater treatment facility.
Kelly knows he's made it big time when he proceeds the biosolids part of the agenda.
Resolution approving an agreement with Nutraject Systems, Inc. for biosolid removal and application for the Coralville wastewater department, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution's approved all ayes with Goodrich absent. Item 15 is small site cell master lease agreement. This is an agreement that outlines the terms and conditions for the placement of city-owned facilities.
Resolution approving a master lease agreement with the Southwest Co. Wireless, Inc., DBA Verizon Wireless, for location of a small site cell facilities pursuant to Chapter 8C of the Code of Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes with Goodrich absent. Item 16 is consulting services agreement. This is for the general construction services for Phase 1 remodeling of the public spaces at the Coralville Marriott Hotel and Conference Center, and it's with M.A. Mortensen Company.
Resolution approving a consulting services agreement with M.A. Mortensen Company for replacement of furnishings, fixtures, and equipment at the Coralville Marriott Hotel and Conference Center, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion?
Yes, we did have 4 different consultants and contractors give us information on the project. They were all very, very good proposals. We're very pleased at the end of the reviews that Mortensen was chosen. And for those of you that don't remember, Mortensen was the original contractor for the building, so has, excuse me, a lot of experience with the facility. And we are very hopeful that the work gets started in December, and so that a lot of the work will be done December and January and finished up by March.
Very good.
Just like to thank Ellen and the staff for their hard work in getting this done. It was long. It was long. Thank you.
Anything else? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution is approved all ayes with Goodrich absent. Item 17 is vacation of right-of-way. This right-of-way was part of a property exchange with the James and Susan Collins and vacates the portion of the right-of-way that was conveyed to them.
Resolution setting a public hearing on the vacation of a portion of First Avenue right-of-way, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Discussion? Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Goodrich absent. I'd consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented or amended.
Move to approve the consent calendar items.
Oh, did
Missed 18?
What, which one?
I do not have, oh, no, I don't have a,
I don't have
I don't
it.
have it on my copy. You don't have?
On what?
Drury, there's an item 18, which is Drury Inn and Suites.
18 is a consent agenda. All right.
18 is
Yeah.
consent calendar.
Yeah, we got an old version. I did see it on, it's online, it
So,
says, because I
it
remember
was just-
reading it in the packet. Or-
Okay.
Yeah.
I could read it for you.
We have it here, so it was posted correctly. It
Yeah, it
just,
was
Here it is.
I think we,
Is it posted?
yeah, we
Yeah.
we
Okay.
printed
It's on
out
our
the
screen, Tom, too.
printed out the wrong version on that was handed out.
Yeah, it has, to- yeah, because I read it a couple times.
Okay, it's yeah.
Yep, yep. So, this item 18 is Drury Inn and Suites. This is amendment to the post-closing agreement, which will allow the Drury Hotels Incorporated to construct the driveway between the hotel and the parking ramp instead of the city. And the amendment to the parking signage and canopy easement removes provisions for a tunnel and a lower level lobby to connect the Drury Inns to the future UIHC Clinic number 2. Don? You have, is that for us, or?
No, not for this item. I don't.
Oh. Resolution approving an amended parking signage and canopy easement and post-closing agreement with DDC Hotels, Inc., introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds. Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Goodrich absent. Now I would consider a motion on the consent calendar.
I move to approve the consent calendars, items A through GG inclusive.
Second.
Moved by Gill, seconded by Dodds. Any discussion? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
The consent calendar is approved as presented. Item 18, or 19, on mine, is the Johnson County Access Center project update. Matt Miller and a colleague is here tonight and is going to give us an
Yeah, we've
an
got a
update.
slideshow we're gonna play.
Okay.
Is this 19?
Yeah, curveball.
Yeah.
We took care of it, Jim. We took care of your item. We did? Yeah. But you're welcome to stay.
I wasn't gonna come down, but I thought that, since 2004, that this has been ongoing, so I thought there might be a little history that might be necessary, but I did notice that when I read the resolution, that was there a typo there about Second Avenue?
I'll check that. But this was requested by the county auditor since we deeded your property that still had right of way on it. So
Since we get to it by now.
We're going to have a report now on the Johnson County Access Center update, so you're welcome to stay for this.
Slides here from over here.
You want me to sit
You know what I mean? How about
This, and I'll project my voice.
Okay, there's a microphone there too.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I think we're good. So
Great.
yeah, once again, I'm Matt Miller. I'm the project manager for the Johnson County Access Center. This is Lance Clemson. He is the chair of our steering committee. Hit it, Lance. Next slide. Just hit the arrow. There you go.
Okay.
So really, I just wanted to come give you guys an update on what's been going on with the project. I believe the first time I talked to you guys, I'd been on the job for maybe a day or two, so we didn't have a grand update for you at the time. But we've since made a lot of progress in the last several months. So we just wanted to fill you guys in on where we're at and then come to you with our official request for funding. So the project is broken out into 5 different phases. This kind of helps us keep straight what we're doing. And I basically just give a status report on this once a month on what's going on in each one of these phases. Kind of easy way to wrap your brain around it. So I'll just dive right in and give you guys updates on each one. Go ahead. Okay, so the first one would be the building timeline. This is the one most people seem to be interested in, so I like to lead off with this. So we do have a property that we're going through and purchasing. For you guys that may not be aware, it's on Southgate Avenue, kind of down like you're heading toward the Terry Trueblood area, out of town that way. The Iowa City Planning and Zoning Commission approved zoning on September 20th. We now have to go through our 3 public hearings. Our first public hearing for that is going to be November 20th, and then we'll ask for the second and third hearing to be condensed on the 4th. We also had a due diligence period on the property, which ended on November 3rd. During our due diligence period, we conducted several different tests. There were 6 different official tests conducted, things like an archaeology report, environmental site assessment, geotech drilling. In all of our testing, we didn't find anything that would preclude this from being a viable building site. So we decided to move forward with the purchase, once again, contingent upon the zoning being approved. Assuming everything goes through, we are going to be closing on the property on December 14th. Thus far, we haven't heard a great public outcry against us getting the rezoning. We've held a good neighbor meeting. We've met with several other property owners in the area. We've really heard no major complaints that should slow us down in that regard. Once we take possession of the property, then during the first and second quarter of next year, we plan to do a demo of the existing building that's there. We'll do fill dirt and grading to make sure we're above the 500-year floodplain. And then hopefully we'll be going out for construction bids and hopefully start construction then sometime in the third quarter, probably in the August-September timeframe. If construction takes approximately 12 months, we're then looking at a grand opening sometime in probably the August-September timeframe of 2020. So that's our timeline on where we're at with the building planning right now. We've been working with an architect on building design, so definitely a lot going on in that category. Next up, we've been working on our governance structure. I think what Lance and I have discovered thus far is it's relatively easy to build a building compared to figuring out the nuts and bolts of how you're going to structure something that spans multiple entities, providing multiple services that involves multiple municipalities. So it's definitely been a work in progress thus far. So far, though, we have made fairly good progress on coming up with an overview of our legal structure. We've been working with University of Iowa Healthcare Legal Counsel, also the county attorney, Iowa City attorney, sort of put together an overall structure on how we want this to look. We have a general agreement on that, and now we're going through and trying to work out the details. Some of those details would include what sort of services we're going to provide. It's definitely important that we make sure we have that highlighted, who's going to be providing them, who it's billed by, who it's being reimbursed by. Make sure that we are all in agreement on that before we kind of then figure out how we're going to staff it, things of that nature. So we're definitely making good progress on this. We meet frequently to try to get this sorted out. From you guys' perspective, what you're probably most interested in is the folks that are providing funding for this. We're proposing that we create a 28E entity that you can be a part of. Each member of that 28E entity can kind of structure it however they want to structure it. Some folks may want to be on that governance board and continue to have some control over what's going on with the Access Center. Other folks may just want to make a one-time donation and say, you guys go ahead and manage it. Really, however you want to be involved, you can be involved that way. I just ask for you guys' guidance that we make sure we work with your city attorneys and make sure we get you guys involved as you want to be with this. Next up, our funding. That's obviously a major aspect of this as well. We've been working and meeting with several folks to make sure we have our funding requests in and that we have a solid stream of funding to make sure we can cover all of our construction costs. We met with the East Central Region Mental Health Disability Services on September 27th. We feel that meeting went fairly well, and we're particularly confident that we'll get funding from them. We met with North Liberty on October 9th. They're kind of still deciding if they can budget for this and how they want to be involved, but that was a positive meeting as well. And then obviously we're meeting with you guys tonight. And we're considering to pursue other funding as well. There's some grant opportunities that we're looking into. We've already secured funding from Iowa City, already secured funding from Johnson County. So that's a major part of this project as well. Next up, our community outreach. So we've been doing several things to kind of engage the community in this. We'll definitely do more over the coming months as our planning continues. One thing we did is we had a good neighbor meeting with property owners in the area on November 1st. That was a fairly uneventful meeting. Only one business owner showed up. He basically just had questions about what sort of building we're going to construct, what it would do for flood water, what it was going to look like. He really had no major concerns about the type of services we're bringing to the area. So that was a fairly uneventful meeting. We've gone to a crisis intervention training with law enforcement to get the word out about what we're bringing to the area. I recently met with the Lynn County project manager, newly hired. Lynn County is looking to build one of these as well. So we're glad to collaborate with other communities, try to share some lessons learned. I spoke with a representative of the UI student government. They are actually working on a resolution in support of this as well. So we're great to have their support. And finally, we're planning a community open house sometime in early 2019. We're sort of waiting until we have some building renderings that we can share with the community, and then we'll do some more planning on this. So that'll probably be coming early 2019. And finally, the last phase of this would be operations. With us still being, over 18 months away from opening, there's not a lot of operational things going on right now, but there are a few. The main thing would be working with Abbey Health right now. We're recruiting them to be our managing entity of this. They seem supportive, but just like everyone else, they have a lot of questions about the details. How's the liability going to work? What sort of service are we going to provide? How are we going to bill for those? So we're working through all those details together. Been very positive interactions with them thus far. And we're also working on some preliminary staffing plans. We want to make sure that we have a pro forma set up so we know what we're looking at initially, what we think our operating budget's going to be, what sort of staff we need to have there, what we need to budget for. So we've been full steam ahead on that. That kind of takes care of the 5 phases. Are there any questions, anything in particular you guys are interested in the details on before I get into the cost estimates? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and jump right into the project cost estimates. This is from our initial meeting with you guys. I definitely heard that you all were interested in what we thought this was going to cost. So what we've come back with is the land purchase is going to come in at about $1.35 million. Our building, we've been working with an architect. We have actually 2 separate buildings. We're going to have the access center, which will contain our crisis observation, crisis stabilization, detox, sobering, and some medical first aid in that building. Right next door is going to be a separate building, but it's going to be our low barrier winter shelter, the permanent home for that, which is open December through March each year. That reason for it being a separate building is because Iowa legislature is currently putting together rules for their access centers. We want to make sure that we're under whatever bed limits that they may place on that. We didn't want the winter shelter to be lumped in with anything we're trying to do there and restrict us in that way. So separate building, but going to be right there. They're actually going to be joined by a somewhat enclosed enclosure, so people will be able to move back and forth fairly easily. Anyway, it's going to come out to approximately 23,000 square feet between the 2 buildings. If we're bidding that out at about $175 a square foot, you're looking at just over $4 million for building costs. There's obviously additional site work needed. As I mentioned, we're bringing in fill dirt to make sure we're above the 500-year floodplain. There's going to be grading, engineering services, building demolition, the fixtures, all that sort of thing that goes into the building planning. It's going to run us about another $1.3 million. And then, of course, you want to throw some contingency in there in case you run over. So we've got about $650,000 built into the plan for that. So our total budget is about $7.33 million at this point. So as I mentioned, we're making sure we have solid funding sources. And our request from you guys at this time is a $500,000 commitment. We're requesting that for next fiscal year as we're planning to start construction in about the August, September timeframe. So we're hopefully giving you guys plenty of time for budgeting purposes, if possible. We feel this commitment is kind of on par with what we expect to get as far as usage from your community members. We've taken a look at things like your crisis intervention calls, the number of Johnson County mobile crisis calls that come from Coralville. It's actually fairly comparable to North Liberty, so we're requesting the same amount from North Liberty as well. Once again, we wanted to come to you with a solid ask. We wanted to show you the overall project costs, and once again, give you plenty of time for budgeting and plenty of time to kind of work with us and get your questions answered. So at this time, I'll open it up for additional questions. Anything else we can answer for you guys?
Matt, do you have any thoughts on how you probably will use that winter shelter during the warmer months?
We're kind of working on some ideas there. During the warmer months, one thing that's been floated is actually using it as respite from the heat, obviously with a lot of heat waves. Nothing has been solidly decided on yet. Another discussion we've had is, would it be possible to have some sort of primary care clinics serve there, to serve that same type of population, and get them primary care, maybe dental services, things of that nature. So we're actually looking at several different things in that regard. We're designing the building so it'll be flexible. When the winter shelter is not in use, we'll be able to take those cots out and store them and potentially use it for all sorts of other things. So we're trying to remain flexible. Nothing's been 100% decided yet. We're just looking at a lot of different viable options.
And we had, I recall at the last meeting you came and spoke at, we had talked about the possibility of offering services for children. Is it still an adults only type of, you'd only serve adults?
Yes, initially
currently?
It will be.
We've considered, actually expanding to kids and families. That's a whole different ballgame. It gets much more complicated. I kind of think of that as maybe phase 3 or 4, down the road. We want to make certain we've got this down, and then would need to include the additional resources down the road. Now, if we were to go into primary care and some dental care, then by all means, we would involve children and families to participate in that. But we're not there yet.
Do you have any idea operational costs?
Yes, we've been running some models there. Initially, if we're at 50% capacity, we will lose money that first year to the tune of approximately $250,000, which actually fits within Johnson County's backstop. They've agreed to backstop this up to a $400,000 loss per year. Now, obviously, we don't want to lose any money. We would like to break even. If you actually move us up to 75% capacity, we're basically at a break-even point. So we're actually fairly confident that within a year or two, if we're hitting that 75% capacity point, we'll be at about a break-even point, which would be great. There's actually some concern from folks in Iowa City and Iowa City law enforcement that we'll be at 100% capacity. They're worried we're not building it big enough. So we're trying to stay flexible there. We're actually going to have shelf space in this building to the tune of, I think it's approximately 2,000 square feet, to where we could add additional clinic space if we need to. But our current plans are for 5 each in crisis stabilization, crisis observation, and detox beds, which are all our reimbursable services. And once again, if we're at 75% capacity on those, which I think we will be within a year or two, we should be hitting break even. Initially, though, I'm sure we'll lose money in that first year, probably to the tune of about $250,000.
And just to clarify, the $500,000 is just for the capital cost, and it's not for operating.
Correct. That's correct.
I have a couple questions. First, I hate to say I'm excited about this project because I wish we didn't have the need, but I think we do have the need, and I'm proud that we're being proactive on it. Having said that, can you just walk me through the 23,000 square feet? How did that come to be? I've heard from both. I've heard folks saying this is too small. I've heard people saying this is too big.
Yeah.
So that's the first question. Second, then, what is the plan? So if the county's covering $400,000 in losses, what if the losses exceed $400,000? What's the plan for that?
To answer your first question, which is easier, we landed on that space. We have a space planning committee. We took volunteers from our large steering committee group. And we tried to get folks from various different backgrounds. We've got representation from law force. We've got some clinical folks, like from the College of Nursing, from Prelude that provides detox and substance abuse. We've got some Abbey Health folks, some county folks as well. So we try to get a lot of people from different backgrounds. We've met with the architect. We've had 4 or 5 different planning sessions just to talk about what kind of space do we need. How many rooms do we need? Does it need to be private rooms? How many bathrooms do we need? So we've really had several of these planning meetings, and everyone is now in agreement that this is the type of rooms we need. These are the kinds of rooms, this is how big they need to be. Now we're actually getting ready to start working on the layout. How do we put all those puzzle pieces together? But we actually have the pieces so we can say how many square feet it needs to be. So that's how we landed on that for square footage. As far as
and actually, let me just add one other
sure.
thing. We've also designed it so that the rooms can be flexible based upon demand. So we don't want to have just only 5 detox beds. If there's a need for more detox beds and we have fewer crisis stabilization beds, they can flex, based upon whatever the demand is.
Yeah. Oh, and I should mention as well, I think I did earlier, but we are having shell space in this as well. Once again, that way, if there is a need even higher than what we're currently ready for, we'll be able to staff up and hopefully open up more space in a relatively short amount of time. Staffing would be the main thing we would have to do. You wouldn't have to go out and do a major construction.
And staffing is our greatest operational expense. I mean, just the, running this facility. So the volume is a key factor. We, expect to lose money as we're getting started, as any, new business will. There are still lots of things at the state level that have yet to be decided. The laws are up for public comment. There's still a lot of unknowns, but clearly this is moving forward. So.
Yep. And to answer your next question about the funding outside the county, we're trying to work this where there's a mental health disability services region that obviously Johnson County is a part of, and 9 other counties. They actually have a very high fund balance right now, which the state is requiring them to spend down. There's a lot of moving parts here, and we're not quite sure if this can happen or how it's going to happen, but we're actually trying to move some of that funding around, so we'll have that available to use for both capital costs and to offset our operating losses, which I'm fairly confident that's going to happen. It looks like another county's actually already done that and it worked successfully. So if we can do something similar, we're going to have a white paper that we present to the Johnson County Board of Supervisors. So we'll be able to take a large chunk of their fund balance, put it in a general fund. We'll probably use some of it for construction, and then we'll have leftover to help offset any operational losses there as well.
So in a sense, we'll be creating kind of a prudent reserve for future use as needed. And it was extremely well received by the region.
Yeah. So to be candid, I mean, if all of our funding comes through as we expect, we'll have roughly $8.1 million in funding support. So we would be able to use that leftover to help offset our operating losses.
What was your ask of Iowa City?
They are providing $2.5 million.
Yeah. We also are going to have a major philanthropic effort as well too. What we've agreed on with all of the participating social service agencies is that we're not going to go for kind of the small donors, which they typically need to sustain their practices. We'll be working with the UI Foundation on very large donors. We want to create some kind of an endowment, if you will, in addition to the reserve, so that we can continue to grow and take on whatever lies ahead.
I heard you talk about meeting with a lot of the service providers. I didn't hear anything about the security. We kind of spoke about that earlier. And I sounded
Sure, yeah. Security, we've actually engaged law enforcement quite a bit, who is many law enforcement people have sort of volunteered that they'll be in and out of there on a very frequent basis. In designing the building, we're actually going to have a specific room, sort of like a law enforcement decompression room, if you will. You can call it a break room, but it's going to be sort of like a comfortable living room style type of place for law enforcement. After they drop someone off there, they can stay, they can go finish their paperwork there, and they can just kind of decompress for a while. So we're kind of working with law enforcement to make sure that they're going to be in and out of there very frequently, and they'll be kind of our de facto security in that regard. As of right now, we're not planning to hire specific security guards. If it turns out we need to do that, we certainly will, though. But once again, several of our law enforcement folks have committed to us that, yeah, we'll make sure we're there. We'll make sure that we're stopping by frequently to be able to mitigate that risk.
And historically, that's what's happened at the winter shelter, is that law enforcement makes rounds, basically. And that's worked pretty well.
Anything else?
Could our $500,000 commitment be paid over a period of several years?
North Liberty asked the same thing, and our executive committee came back and said that would be acceptable. We would prefer in like maybe a 2-year chunk, though, like next fiscal year and then the one after. Anytime you break it up longer than that, it can make it hard from a planning perspective on our end. But that would be acceptable if you wanted to break it up into like 2 years.
Okay.
Obviously, we'll take whatever we can get.
Great. Any
Well,
other
guy-
questions for that?
And is the name settled? Is it the access center?
It is not.
That's the big question,
That is
right?
really the big
We need a
question.
committee on that,
Center
or-
will definitely be in the title, just because the state has sort of taken that and run with it. So we want to make sure that we fall into line with whatever the state's doing, because we wouldn't want to miss out on any funding from them, and we want to make sure we're abiding by their rules as well. So it will be some sort of access center. Right now, we're kind of sticking with Johnson County Access Center. We've floated the idea of calling it the Behavioral Health Access Center, but nothing is permanent as of yet. That will hopefully be decided within the next several months, though.
You know, we welcome future questions. We can go into more details. This is kind of all of our best thinking that has been vetted at several different, levels so far. It's still a work in progress, but we're really getting there.
Yeah,
And with the addition of Matt as a full-time project manager, we really are moving forward very quickly. Once we start actually the construction, it takes on a whole nother big impact. And please, we would love to have you guys attending the kind of community meeting that we have. I'm sorry that Lori's not here, because she's been a very active, strong representative from the city of Coralville, and she's been great. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that as well. Lori has been fantastic. I assume she's keeping you guys apprised of what's going on when I'm not here giving you guys updates. But if at any point you guys have questions or feel like you're not getting enough information, please feel free to reach out to me. Glad to include you guys as much or as little as you want to be included. And I also thank you guys for the time this evening.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lance.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Very good. Okay, well, let's move on then, and we have our standing item next, City Engineer Road Reconstruction Report. And City Engineer Dan Holderness is going to give that tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. For all of you who get Assistant City Engineer Scott Larson's weekly construction reports, his tagline last week of "We didn't need all this cold weather" was very appropriate, because it's definitely slowed down all the construction. However, we have a good forecast for the rest of this week, kind of a cooler weekend, and then a good forecast for the beginning of next week. And so we anticipate seeing a lot of progress on both projects in the coming days. On First Avenue, you should see paving start going down tomorrow. They're going to pave full width from the north to the south, from Perkins coming south. There's about 1,600 feet to be paved there, and we anticipate that'll take 3 days to pave that now based on the temperatures that we're seeing now. So significant progress will be made there. The street light poles for the First Avenue and 6th Street intersection will be arriving next week, or scheduled to arrive next week, and so those will be put up as soon as they arrive as well. So again, the goal of this project is to have all the lanes open and the signals working by the end of this construction season. So we're working really hard with the contractor to try to make that come to be. Out on Coleridge Avenue, this Friday, the 16th, you'll see the majority of the detour will go away. Traffic will be put on the mainline paving, inside lanes, both north and south, inside the lanes at the median. However, the north end of the detour will remain between Forever Green Road and Wheaton, because that section, east half of the Wheaton intersection has to be torn out and replaced with the new paving and new alignment and everything. So again, that'll happen Friday, probably after the AM rush. And there's not a lot of work left there at the intersection of Wheaton, but our goal is to get that done as well, and to get all the traffic lanes open, all the street lights, all the signals up and operational by the end of the construction season. Hope for good weather for a few weeks.
Right. Mm-hmm. Very good. Any questions for Dan? Thank you. City Administrator report.
The only thing I would just report is, obviously the elections are behind us, and now on November 26th here at Coralville City Hall, we will be having a legislative forum, and that includes legislators from all of ECOG area, and it'll be here at City Hall, and it's co-sponsored by ECOG, the League of Cities, and ISAC, Iowa Association of Counties. And so this is just a good opportunity now to move from the election into the governing process. And so I would encourage not only city staff and city council members, but any member of the public is welcome to attend that as well.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock here at City Hall.
Is that it, Don?
Yep.
Okay. Mayor's report. I just wanted to remind folks that are watching and listening, it is that time of year where we're soliciting applications for the various boards and commissions of the city. Well, they're due the Wednesday before. Okay. So Thor's just telling me that they're due coming up next Wednesday, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So just about all the boards and commissions, not everyone, but nearly all of them have openings coming up. And existing board and commission members can apply to be reappointed, but we can also entertain new folks on them as well. So if you're interested, that information is all on the website, but do get them in before next Wednesday. I think that's it for my report. City Attorney report.
You know, the audience has suffered such a drastic reduction, I don't feel compelled to say anything. Kevin?
Nope. No? Okay. Committee and council members report. Jill, you want to start tonight?
I don't have anything this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Tom?
I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and drive safe.
Yeah, it's coming up. Thank you. Mitch?
Just wanted to wish Councilmember Gill a happy Veterans Day yesterday, and thank you for your service. And that's all I have.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Just note that this is our first meeting since the chambers have been refurbished, repainted, new carpet. I think it looks pretty snappy, but we need the clock replaced.
Yes. The missing clock. It's packed up somewhere.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Gill, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Foster. We are adjourned. Snappy.